Will you all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I get a roll call?
Mr. Cook?
Present.
Mr. D'Adriano?
Here.
Mr. Rogan?
Here.
Ms. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here. I'd like to deviate a little bit from tonight's agenda. We have a guest here with us tonight. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Sheriff Kevin McConville. Sheriff?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, members of the town board and the audience. And I respect the fact that I'm jumping the line here on a few things, so I will be quick. I wanted to stop by and talk about some of the things we're doing in the Sheriff's Department this year. We're doing a reorganization and reassessment of our functions and our operational manners that we do business. Part of that, I've been on the phone with you the last couple of days. We are implementing a mass notification system for various components within the county and at the town level. And we're ahead of schedule. You got your notifications yesterday on a test. It will be most helpful to you in any incident that we send that data out, because it will be real-time and accurate information that we send out. It may include road closures, weather updates. I know we do that at the county level as well, and we're looking to modify and reevaluate that process as well. But we have a direct line of communications with you now from a patrol supervisor, normally on the scene or in the field, that can communicate that information without delay, that's accurate towards what's going on in the field. As you get phone calls from your constituents and residents of your town, we're going to implement that with our religious organizations, our school systems, and a bunch of other entities as well, to get information out in a real-time and accurate manner. So I wanted to stop by tonight and say hello and ask you as a town board, along with the supervisor, to designate someone to be a liaison to us that we can go to continually for a point of contact that can bring issues, concerns. We've been up here in Patterson the last couple of weeks and taken some enforcement action on speeding and quad use in the community. We're going to continue to do that. We've gotten calls from your residents, your community on these issues. We're going to address them quickly and efficiently and make sure that their life in your community is peaceful and sound as well as safe. So anything we can do to assist you, please reach out to the office. Let us know so that we can address it and work together to make Patterson the beautiful community it has been and continues to be.
Could you expand a little bit more on what you're looking for as far as a point of contact?
Whether it's yourself, supervisor, or one of your council members, so that if there are issues that are brought up at a town board meeting, we can direct those to the appropriate person. You'll have a point of contact in our office that you can contact to provide that information to, so we can address it in a timely manner. It doesn't fall off the table or there's any delay in resolving the issue or providing resolution.
Okay. I will probably get back to you tomorrow with a point of contact. Yes, I did get my notification yesterday. Still working through it. I think I've got it. I think that is just wonderful that there's going to be this enhanced communication. And I want to say I've also noticed an increase in road patrols in Patterson, so I'd like to thank you for that as well.
That's our pleasure. That's our job. That's our responsibility. We're going to make sure that we meet it and that we meet it professionally. And again, thank you for letting me jump the line on this. I greatly appreciate it.
Not at all. I'm sure you're a very busy man. Does any town board member have any questions or comments?
No. Thank you.
Good luck as you take off here.
Thank you very much. It's been a very involved last 42 days. We're looking for the next 42 to even pick up steam a little bit more so that we can address issues such as this and implement programs like this to help the communities.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Have a great evening.
Okay, can I get a motion on the reports?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the code compliance for January 2022, code enforcement for January 2022, dog control officer for December 2021 and January 2022. Patterson Fire Department, the October 2021, December 2021 last quarter, and the 2021 annual reports. And the Patterson Recreation for January 2022. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would somebody like to make a motion on the minutes?
I'll make a motion that we approve the bid opening minutes for February 2nd, 2022 for the engineering services for the Dorset Hollow Water District, and the town board meeting minutes of January 12th and January 26th, 2022. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Who would be auditing the bills this?
I'll make a motion to approve abstract number 2 dated January 27th, 2022 in the amount of $250,612.48. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we do have a couple of budget transfers tonight.
Yes, the first one is from 2021 budget transfer, number 46. And that is reallocating funds from ambulance contractual to ambulance personnel services in the amount of $1,323. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next is budget transfer request number 3 for the year 2022 and reallocating funds for the additional serial bond debt principal for the courthouse bond refunding. So we will be moving $5,000 serial bond debt interest expense account to serial bond debt principal expense account, $5,000. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Peter?
First on my agenda I have is the Civic Plus proposal. So last meeting, we brought up the possibility of redoing the website, town website, and we looked at some options, and we looked at the Civic Plus. Wasn't really a proposal, it was just a rough draft of what we were kind of looking at. So we did have a lot of questions, and we met with the representative from Civic Plus the other day, myself and Supervisor Williams, and gave her all our concerns, all our questions. When she kind of went through this official proposal that we all have now, I think we just have to make a decision whether, number one, if we're going to go forward with this, and if we are, what package, what options. It does start getting pricey. So last time we talked about, there's a premium package rather, and then more of a basic package. The difference really is with the premium package, it's more a custom website where, if you think about looking at a website, all the different buttons and things that you click on to, the way the things are laid out. That's really the difference with the premium. So the basic package, they have templates of, that other towns, you can look that other towns have, it's already kind of a set template of where the buttons are, where the pictures would lay out, and they would just put in our information into there. So I was talking with Supervisor Williams last night offline about this and we were talking about how it'd be great to have the premium like we talked about last time, because then we can kind of customize it exactly like we want. But then we start adding a lot of the additional things that I think we really need. Number one, it gets a little pricey when we start moving our old agendas over to the new website. So I think the price includes what, 100?
Oh, yes, 100.
And then anything over that is an additional, I think
850?
850. So we think we need about 500
At least.
So that starts adding up. There's additional headers. So if we decide to have the park district have kind of it's under the same website, but when you click on it, it kind of looks a little different. The header is a little different on it. That starts getting more costly. So that starts adding up. So I think we were discussing if we kind of stick to the basic plan, then we could maybe move towards having all those additional costs. Anybody's thoughts?
I just have a question. When you were talking about the minutes, is there a point where we would only need to have, say, the last 3 or 4 years worth of minutes on our website. And anything beyond that would be something subject to FOIL that people could get, because I'm wondering how often people go to our website to look at minutes from a meeting. Because our minutes aren't verbatim anyway, at this point, right? They're not verbatim
No,
minutes.
they're
So,
not.
you know,
They are foilable, right?
And they are foilable.
sure.
I can tell you, one of the biggest user of the minutes online is me.
You,
I'm
yeah.
constantly,
I was thinking that.
going to those minutes and, going way back, going
Right.
all the way back as far as I can go. I could set it up so I could do it here, so that's not a big issue, but that's the question,
Yeah.
how far back do we want to go?
What is
How much money do
reasonable?
we want to spend to put up something that's reasonable? 100 sets of minutes, when you're talking about planning board, zoning board, town
It
board.
doesn't go very far.
No, that's, a couple years.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
So how far back do we want to go? We had talked about one point about having a work session. I think it might still be a good idea to, pull that together and, take a closer look, really dig down into, what headers we're going to do, what information we're going to have in what format. So, I mean, that would be my suggestion, is that at some point, if we can move this forward a little bit tonight, to, in any direction, that's fine, but eventually we really need to sit down and just focus on this for an hour or two, and really wrap this up.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so I guess if we all decide this is something we want to do, we want to pursue and push forward with, I think that'd be a good idea to have maybe set up a work session with it.
Yeah.
Everyone think that it's,
I'd like to see the numbers of what we're currently paying, in comparison to this, and see how much more it's costing and how much more we're getting. I mean, I'm sure
Well-
we're getting a lot more, but
so there's an original, the upfront cost is big because they have, they have to
Mhm.
design a website for us and move everything over. But then I think the yearly maintenance isn't much more than we're,
It's comparable to what we're paying now.
mhm,
and I think we're gonna get a lot more.
mhm,
Um,
I agree.
Well, it sounds like there's pretty good support from all of us for moving forward.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
I mean,
Have the work session and
All right, maybe end of the night, we'll talk about a date, because we do have some interviews we have to do as well. And we'll schedule something.
Sounds good. Anybody else, any other questions? I think she has pretty much answered with, all our questions. I mean, everything's in here pretty much. You don't look through it.
And if there's not anything in here, I can tell you there's a world of data up on our website too, that you can take a look at.
All right, next I have is a memo here from Russ Goff, Highway Supervisor, about the boiler. So the boiler for the main building at the Highway Department has a crack in the side of the unit, and it is in unoperable condition. It needs to be replaced before it dies completely. Russ did get 3 quotes, and you've chosen to go with requesting to go with Peerless Boiler from Adams Plumbing. It actually came in the lowest, and it fits their application the best. So I'd like to make a motion to approve $9,640 for the new boiler for the Highway Department. So move.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That is all I have.
next we have a memo again from Russ Goff relative to advertising for bids. It's the time for our annual bid process. And the bid year is from April 1st to March 31st. And Russ would like the bids to be open March 16th, 2 p.m. And they involve wash sand for ice control, crushed stone, bituminous concrete, annual tree work, diesel fuel, heating oil, and gasoline. So I'll make a motion for the town board to authorize the town clerk to advertise for these items as laid out in Russ Goff's memo of February 1st, 2022. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Um,
Sean?
Okay, next item we have relates to the Veterans Memorial Park rental fees. When someone wants to rent a pavilion and use the park for personal reasons, for parties. The Veterans Park has been reviewing this over the last couple of years and comparing it to other fees that are charged not only within the town of Patterson for using things like the rec center, but also for other parks of similar use for pavilions and things in other surrounding towns. And what they've come to realize is that the $75 rental fee is much lower than surrounding areas. And in some cases, they find that the fee doesn't cover the increase in funds that are needed for, say, additional lifeguards. If someone has a party and they bring 30 or 40 people and they want to go swimming, they have to plan for that with providing additional lifeguards. And so the board has been looking at this. We have a memo from the chairperson, Miss Mary Butler, and they are requesting consideration by the town board to increase that fee from what is now 75 to something closer to maybe $125 for rental. So I wanted to open that for discussion, see what the board feels about that. But I did also speak with Lois Moss, who is this recording secretary, and she said, yes, that they've been discussing this for quite some time, and the Veterans Park Advisory Board is unanimously in support of moving this forward at this time.
I think $125 is still a bargain for the pavilion and the park use. It's nice.
Yeah, it's a great use of the facilities. And you know what this could allow is some additional funding to enhance the park with additional playground equipment or other structures or uses that will just help, and that benefits everyone. That's something that all the park users are able to enjoy.
Do we know how long it's been? $75? You know, Eileen? As long as it's been a while.
It's
Right?
been a while. It's been
Yeah.
Very long.
quite a few years.
Yeah, that it hasn't increased. Listen, they're a board which is, set up to advise us, advise us, would like to respect their opinion where I can. I think they've done their homework on this and, they've given us comparables. So I think it's reasonable. The only thing I would advise whoever's going to make the resolution is that, please put an effective date in, maybe say March 1st, so that we have a date when, we can do this.
Do we grandfather? So if someone has a reservation already, would they be grandfathered in for the?
Yes.
They would have already paid, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're
so
not going
they're
to go
good.
back and
Yeah.
ask them for more money. No, I agree. I think that's appropriate. So any other discussion?
No, I think it's good.
Okay, then, in the matter of the Patterson Veterans Memorial Park rental rate, I'll make a motion that we approve a rate increase for rental of the park, the pavilion, with an effective date of March 1st, 2022, and raise that fee from the current $75 to the proposed $125. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
Okay, first on my agenda, we've been discussing about this a long time, and that has to do with looking at the Dorset Hollow water supply system, seeing what upgrades are necessary and potentially expanding that. There's a couple of kinks in this at this point, which I'm going to talk about in a little while, which may or may not ultimately affect this, but we did put it out for bid, an RFP, seeking engineering services. We did receive one individual that bid on it. And that was WSP for some of the people who have served on the planning board around here. You may know this Bridget Shears and Graham, who has done a lot of the work with public water supply systems in the area, but they ultimately were bought out by WSP. I believe the board has the proposal. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at this?
Mhm.
Do you have any questions?
It's just not a question. It's just a shame that only one company bid on this. You would have thought more would have.
I did contact two of the companies that, I provided them proposals, and they both said they really, really wanted to bid on this, but they were just so busy they couldn't find the time. And it's amazing right now, the way things are, how busy everybody is. I also did contact the principals with WSP to have a conversation with them about their bid. They're comfortable with the numbers. I expressed my opinion that overall, I thought the proposal was reasonable, but that, I thought the design services was a little light. And the construction management services was a little heavy. But we'll see what they come back with. We certainly can stop this at any point. And I want to make that clear to the board and to everybody else, because, we are currently right now planning for potentially expanding this system to accommodate Front Street, at a reasonable density of development out there. And that may change. And if that changes, then we could be into, a serious issue. I will tell you, I've talked to another one of my fellow supervisors in another town who's been working for 12 years now to get a sewer line in to service a specific area in their town. And based on what I'm going to talk about in a minute with the governor's budget, they actually canceled the project. They've gotten the whole thing approved, ready to go, ready to put out the bid for construction. They canceled the project because this, the insanity that's going on at this point. And I felt so bad for him because I know the amount of time, he had invested in this person. All right. If nobody has any questions, then we have the resolution approving WSP's bid for engineering services for the Dorset Hollow Water District. I would ask that the town clerk enter this resolution into the record as though it had been read into the record. Just so everybody knows, the bid is for Stephen. There it is, right there. $91,100. So that is my motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next on my agenda is something that was brought to my attention by my fellow supervisors down in Westchester. We had a Zoom meeting on it. They're extremely upset about this. And likewise, so am I. The governor's budget is proposing two pieces of legislation. Actually, I'll touch on all three that I'm most concerned with. One of the measures in the governor's budget now in the legislation will require school districts to no longer purchase anything but electric vehicles beginning in 2020.
2027.
2027. You know that one quick. Yeah. 5 years from now, they can't purchase anything but electric vehicles anymore, which means they're going to have to retrofit all their facilities so that they can either pump hydrogen or charge them.
Mhm.
Now, is that passenger vehicles or
Buses,
everything?
School buses.
Buses.
school buses. That's going to be a huge impact on our community with the school taxes. Huge.
And the entire fleet should be transitioned over by 2035.
Do they even have efficient school buses at this point that are either electric or
Do they exist? Yes.
are they efficient? Are
Are
they?
well, they're running on electric, not gas, not diesel.
They have the power and everything to.
Well, I don't have one and I've never been in one. But, some of the concerns that I have, and I didn't know this was going to be coming up tonight, but I was just looking at a lot of issues and we talked to a lot of, we bounce back and forth in a local chapter NIAC group. There's a lot of concerns and the chapter is actually lobbying to do away with this, to make this go away. It's going to bring necessary financial hardships to the school districts to replace all these buses. So 77 passenger actually to price out is probably about 120,000, somewhere in there. An electric 77 passenger is $300,000. There's two types of charging stations. One is a 6-hour quick charge and one is a 12-hour charge. The 6-hour is very expensive because it would charge quick. And when you think about it, the average time in between school bus runs is about 4.5 hours. So I'm not sure how much of a charge you're going to get. We also are required to travel up to 50 miles for special education students and 15 miles for privates. An average local bus run is probably around 20 miles. They say on the battery, the life battery is about 180 miles, but I don't know. And, I haven't really dug into it to see that 180 miles, what that equals into time, because you could be sitting in traffic on 684 for, a couple hours. So I don't know how that would. Also, some of my concerns is the educating the mechanics. I don't know how much, education they have in working on these electric buses. And I was also advised by one of the salesmen that sell them. The way we buy our school buses, the way they're equipped is about $450,000 for one vehicle. So it's a lot of money. We would also be required to put in a pumping station. A water pump, because electric buses, the only way to put out an electrical fire is with water. So we would need a fire pump. And when they burn to the ground, they're crisp. So, there's a lot of concerns. They're quiet. I understand that they put some type of something in them to make noise, because now you have a huge vehicle coming around and you
Sound.
can't hear, so there's just a lot of, without really getting into it, I just think that there's a different agenda here for wanting this to happen, go green, not so sure if that's exactly it.
Well, I'm sorry for springing that on you, because you obviously don't know a whole lot about it.
No, not really.
So,
Just know I don't want it.
yeah. All right, so the other two, really what I wanted to focus on tonight in the governor's budget, one of them, supersedes home rule that most municipalities have and starts taking away our right to provide for zoning for our communities. It's going to substantially change the character of our neighborhoods, and that has to do with the bill that is included, that is slipped into the budget. So when they adopt the budget, they adopt the legislation that would allow every property owner, every residential property owner, whether it's pre-existing non-conforming in a commercial neighborhood, or it's zoned residential, or is currently used as residential, to be allowed. The town has to have now a law that allows everybody to have one additional accessory dwelling unit. That may be an accessory dwelling within an existing structure, or it may be building a new structure on the outside, or converting a shed, or converting a garage. We currently have laws on the books that allow accessory dwelling units, so this is not something the town is opposed to. What my concern is, and what I believe we should be fighting back, is the state actually imposing certain criteria. For example, limiting the side and rear yard setbacks of these structures to 4 feet. I mean, that could make for a potentially dangerous situation with in a number of respects, firefighting. It also increases the amount of pervious coverage into areas that we normally wouldn't allow more than 38% in the Putnam Lake area. This is going to allow impervious coverages up to 60%. We're not allowed to really require any parking for these, which is, people are going to move into these apartments, they're going to rent them out, they're going to have 2, maybe 3 cars. Then we can't require that they have that parking on site, which means they're going to start parking in the streets. It's going to lead to congestion in our streets. And I've provided the board with a memo with a number of different concerns I had, having reviewed the law. And for me, this is an awful thing for the state to come down and oppose. It's great if they want to encourage it, but they should let the towns decide on the standards, for us to impose. But that's really nothing compared to the second piece of legislation in the governor's budget, which has to do with areas, specifically Patterson Hamlet, that are within half a mile of a train station. And I also want to step aside for a minute and say there's also a section that says, and any bus stop where there is available parking for the bus stop. I'm still not clear what that means and whether that would mean the bus stops that we have here in Putnam for the park buses, or whether that is specific to they, times have areas, say up in New Paltz, where they're running buses from a parking area down to the New York City. I'm still not clear what that means, but so within half a mile of the Metro North train station that we have in the hamlet now, the state is going to tell the town that we have to adopt a standard that would allow at least 25 residential dwelling units on each residentially zoned piece of property. That starts building apartment buildings in the town of Patterson. It's going to completely change the character here. I had the conversation with the gentleman, the engineer that I've been dealing with from WSP, who just broke out hysterical laughing. He said, that's insane. There's no way you're going to build a water system to accommodate the number of units. Potentially, that could lead to upwards of 2,000 additional dwelling units just in the half-mile area around the train station in the hamlet of Patterson. It's a huge increase in density. It's going to impact the historic nature. Dorset Hollow, we've been talking about Dorset Hollow, 1 acre lots. Well, can you imagine somebody buying up, and this is a very real possibility, because there's an economic value now into those lots, buying up one of those single family homes to put an apartment building on it in the middle of a residential subdivision. It's going to devalue everybody else's home, other than the fact that they're going to sell them for apartments. It's going to completely change the character. So it's a very big concern to me. I hope you've all had a chance to review the laws that I have sent you, that I pulled out of the governor's budget bill. I can tell you the supervisors in Westchester are trying to formulate a strategy now. I have had this conversation with Assemblyman Burns. He is equally as concerned, and is up in Albany today, working on some of these issues. I have not had the conversation with Senator Harkin. The supervisors in Westchester were looking to set up a Zoom meeting with him. I have not heard further on when that meeting will occur. Initially, it was going to be by now. For whatever reason, it hasn't happened. So at this point, I'm going to be quiet for a little bit and open it up to anybody else if they wish to comment on this.
None of our elected officials in Albany, I gave you a heads up that this was coming, or you picked it out of the budget. Is that pretty much it?
Well, I don't know. Listen, I try valiantly every year to review the governor's budget. I don't know if any of you have tried to do that. It's thousands of pages long.
Yeah, no, I just want to compliment you for summarizing it, I guess, how you so stated it, because I think it's if whoever put it in the budget certainly didn't think about towns like Patterson. That's it for me.
Well, it's been like all these other typical state budgets and laws that have been going on for the past couple of years, where, I don't think they think about a lot of things. They don't ask local towns for their opinions. How it's going to impact the towns. They just, it looks good on paper. It fits their agendas, like you were saying, whatever their agendas are, and they push these things through, and then we get stuck with these unfunded mandates. We're not going to get any money to improve our water supply, our water systems, and everything else, and it's going to impact us greatly. I think it's great. I thank you for putting this letter together, and I think we should go. I'm all for sending it. I think we need to voice our opinion to the state, because this is just the beginning of what they can do. They think they know what's best for everybody, when I think we know what's best for us. You know, it's not a cookie cutter thing where it works for every community in the state. It might work in some, it might be great for some communities, but for us, I don't think it is. So I think we should have the ability to make a decision on what's best for us. And I think we have a great planning department, planning board, and that's, to make decisions on what's good for us. So I'm all for sending this letter and standing up as much as we can, whatever we can do.
Didn't we have something like this over the last year or two?
So about a
Similar
year,
to the
about a
accessory-
year, 18 months ago, Senator Harko had supported a bill that they were running through the process, and there is a process in Albany when, somebody wants a bill. Senator Harkam and then some Assembly Democrats from New York City had proposed a bill very similar to this on accessory dwelling units. We had, sent a resolution in opposing the bill, and I had sent, the board had reviewed, and I had sent in substantial comments on it. I got to say to their credit, a lot of the concerns that I had raised in that, they did try to address, but certainly not all of them, not the, 4-foot property setback requirements, not the issues with the parking, which I think are going to be horrendous if we have to suffer through that.
Excuse me, but on the parking, people, this goes forward, people park on the street. They got to move their cars during the winter time anyhow.
To where?
That's exactly it.
To where? No,
Right.
we're gonna, and we
The sign
talked about this.
says no parking, November 15th, April 15th. Where they gonna go?
And there's development companies that are probably just waiting for this to happen. They're probably ready to go because, there's these nonprofits and stuff, and
Well, in the past few years, I've been approached by 2 nonprofits looking to do projects like this. And, one of the things that scares me, we're talking about, I literally was approached by 2 not-for-profits out of New York City looking to build projects like this in the town of Patterson, and I explained it's not something that you can do. But, I will recall, the news story that I saw a couple of years ago where New York City was caught, buying and renting houses down in New Jersey where they were sticking their homeless people. And is that what they're doing? They're looking to, bring people out of the city.
So would someone be able to, for example, they own a one-family home on, say, a 1-acre lot, would they be able to add a home onto a,
They would be able to add an accessory dwelling unit. And depending on the size of their home and the criteria the board's going to have to come up with, it potentially could turn that in from a single family to a 2-family home.
Yeah, because it says it needs to be like a standalone. It needs to be able to fully support. So that means kitchen, bathroom. It's not just a bedroom. The part that I don't understand about this, and Rich and I spoke about this a little bit earlier, was that this seems to take away our ability to look at things and make sure they fit, right? Make sure they fit for all our planning issues and our zoning issues, setbacks, and can we meet, all the different quality of life issues for Patterson. But I can't see how anything that they do could guarantee someone the ability. It may take away zoning, but it doesn't take away water and sewer responsibilities. And I can't imagine that it would put the onus and say, you must as a municipality supply these things. So somebody has that, let's say the Dorset Hollow lot. If the community system that supports that, the sewer system, isn't sized appropriately, it seems like there's no mechanism where they can say, yes, but you're allowed to do it. You're not allowed to do it if the support structure isn't there for it. So I think it's horribly written, and I don't agree with taking away any of our home rule rights, but I just don't see. This seems like it might work in areas that are so urban that 4-foot setbacks don't matter, that are already concreted over or already paved over, and they can, and they have water and sewer that is totally able to support these sorts of uses. But nothing like that exists that I can think of in Putnam County.
no, I mean, when you think about the individual wells, you start adding and, now you're taking away water from
Yeah.
the other families. So.
Yeah, and we don't have any water and sewer systems that are limitless, you
Right.
know.
True. But we have to impose, we have to come up with a law that allows this standard. So now we do that, and somebody comes in and buys 3 lots over at Dorset Hollow and says, well, I'm gonna put in, 75 units, and I'm going to provide the water. I'm gonna take the Dorset Hollow and expand it. And you've got to allow me to do it because I've got to, the zoning says I can do this, and you've got to somehow work with me, and I'm willing to pay for it. And I'm willing to go get the permits to increase the sewage treatment plant.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I'm all fine with that. But, this is the hamlet, and there's a specific character to this hamlet. And I would hate to see that, taken away. And we're right on the edge now of finally getting the last component so we can build out, a very nice front street area with a couple of new buildings. And we're gonna lose all that. Because right now we're looking at, 2 buildings out of the 3 that, between the 2 have, I think 12 apartments. What now if he can, because the law says we can't impose a height restriction. So now it's not a question of him going just 2 floors and having 12 apartments. He can go 4, he can go 5, right? I see former Chief Nick is here with us here, What are we gonna do for firefighting services? What are we gonna do for a ladder truck to go 5 stories?
Long stretch.
It's a long stretch. It's a very expensive stretch.
Also,
That's-
what's next? What are they gonna overreach next?
I don't
What
know.
are they gonna impose on us next? You start letting them in. We need to keep our home
We do.
rules.
We do. The AUD or the ADU law, the accessory dwelling units is a statewide law, and I think there's gonna be a lot of blowback on that. That we may have some friends supporting so that it may get turned around. But the other one where they're requiring, 25 dwelling units, that's only within 60 miles of a city that has 1 million people in it. That's only certain areas of New York State. And the rail platforms that they've cited in here are only within the New York City area. So this is targeting us. So. All right, I have 2 resolutions here. Train going by. So I'm going to introduce the first resolution opposing, let me get my glasses here, opposing Bill S8006A9006, providing for state control of accessory dwelling units. Going to ask that it be entered into the record as though read. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I've got a second resolution here opposing Senate Bill 8006, Assembly Bill 9006, providing for transit-oriented development, actually a Transit-Oriented Development Act of 2022. I'd like to ask that the resolution be entered into the resolution as read,
Second.
into
Oops,
the
sorry.
minutes as read, sorry.
Second.
We have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. And my executive session is legal. We do have another lawsuit we need to talk about. I'll defer that to the end of the agenda. We have a couple of pieces of other business. Has everybody got a chance to take a look at them?
Mary
Oh,
has-
Mary, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'll get a smack later.
Just a couple requests from the Recreation Department. Looking at Matt Chavarro's asking for a rate increase for Meg Carney. Meg has taken over a lot of senior lunch responsibilities. She's preparing the lists, cooks all of the delicious food, and directs his staff on the cleanup. Meg Meg's input has been very influential in bringing back the senior luncheon from its COVID hiatus. Meg also has taken over the hot dog bingo events for the seniors and will be involved in senior trip planning moving forward. In addition to her clerical duties, she has been our pizza night leader. Beginning next week, Meg will be leading our Little Chefs program too. Meg's great. I always love to see her too. She's a great asset over there. So I'm just looking for the rate. The rate of pay is requesting effective the start of the next payroll cycle, February 20th, 2022. I'd like to make a motion to increase Meg's rate to $20 per hour. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I think just leading pizza night is worth the raise.
It's working a
It's
lot with
crazy.
food. That's a little scary. I don't think I could be
I
around
was
food that
thinking
much.
leading bingo with seniors is worth $20 an hour.
Second request is a, so we're looking to buy, what is that here, 2 Kiefer soft top rescue boards. Sorry, I have a hard time reading his handwriting. Looks like the lowest bidder is Kiefer Aquatics for the 2 boards. I'd like to make a motion to approve an amount not to exceed more than $1,380 for Kiefer Aquatics. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
These are for our lifeguards.
Yeah, sorry. And lastly, this is yours. Okay. Lastly, we have the Town of Patterson Senior Trip request for the Putnam Lake seniors going to the Culinary Institute for 20 participants. Let me see if she has that here. Sorry, I'm missing some stuff here. So the transportation, they do not need tickets. Full price is $29. So the total expenses is $580. The net cost to the town budget would be $280. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the luncheon in the amount of $280. The date of the trip is today. Yes, no? Yes.
March.
Okay.
March.
Oh, March 3. Yes, I'm sorry. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's all I have.
All right, just to wrap this up, to be brief, we have a letter here from the court notifying us that Brian Long has submitted his resignation verbally and handed in his things, his keys and his badge. And I'd like to make a motion to accept the resignation of Brian Long with regrets. He's been a good court officer for a very long time.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any other business? Okay, hearing none, we'll open it up to public recognition. Member of the public wish to address the board?
Good evening, may I address the board?
Yeah. Okay, could we, any member joining us by Zoom, if we could just hold on for a minute, we'll get to you in a second.
This is public acknowledgement?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Karen Powers, and I'm on the Board of Trustees at Patterson Library. Usually I speak about programs, and we still have plenty of programs, adults and for children. But today I thought I might talk about some other things. And precisely what I'd like to talk about is information science. When people go to library school and they used to get an MLS, a Master's of Library Science. Now they get a Master's of Library and Information Science. And the reason why is because libraries are going more and more toward the distribution of information and less reliance on books, movies, and whatever else is borrowed. When you walk into the Patterson Library, there's a reference desk with a reference librarian, and she is really an instructional librarian. librarian. She teaches people how to find information. And you can ask her just about any question that you want. And maybe she won't have the answer right then and there, or maybe she will. If she doesn't, she'll know where to send you to look for that information, right? She's very well versed in lots of library programs, online programs, and databases, digital resources that will tell you what you need to know. For example, there are library programs online that do homework help for kids from elementary school through middle school and high school. They can come in after class and they can use the homework help site. The other things that we have are, we have SAT exams online that can be studied to get into college, GREs to get into graduate school, GEDs to get the high school equivalency degree, and then several other tests. I think there's a civil service test on there too for a few different things. And so anyway, the point is that if you want information, go back to the reference desk. If nobody is there, ask somebody at the front desk and they're likely to be able to tell you where to look for the information that you want. Yes, we still have the books, the movies, the museum passes, etc., that you can borrow. But I think that more and more, you're going to see libraries going away from just books. They'll probably be there for a long time because, I mean, I, for one, am a person who likes to have a book in my hand. I also read books online, however, and there are a couple of different sites on the library website. If you go to the library's general website, which is at pattersonlibrary.org, you will find 2 digital sources for ebooks, that's electronic books, and you can press on that at the right-hand corner, up at the top, the right-hand corner of that website says e-resources. Press on that, and you'll get to you'll get to many different digital resources where you can find reading materials if you wish. The most popular ones are called Libby Overdrive and Hoopla. And what I like about those particular ebooks is that you can find pretty much whatever you want to find. You search for a title on those electronic devices, electronic sources, and you can come up with ebooks that you read online on your laptop or your tablet. Some people even read them on their phones, their smartphones. That doesn't appeal to me. I usually read them on my laptop. And the really nice thing about them is that I can enlarge the print, right? And that's really nice. But speaking of enlarging print, we also have large print books for people with visual problems. We have an amplifier that sits among the public computers, and that amplifier is used by people who have visual problems, and they can read books under that amplifier or magazines, and it will amplify quite a bit. I mean, I've used it for my own work in a couple of times, and I liked it. So the other thing is that we have other online resources that are very popular, like Ancestry.com, where you can go to the library. That you have to do in the library. You cannot approach it from home. You could do everything up to the DNA test. Obviously, the public library can't afford to do your DNA test, but all of the preliminary heritage issues you can find out about your families. The other thing that I wanted to mention is you can learn a language through Mango, MANGO. That's one of our online resources, and you can do that from home. You can approach the library's Mango program from home if you want to. The last thing I'll talk about is something new. It's called a mobile hotspot. Does everybody know what a mobile hotspot is here? No. Okay, well, there are companies that are providing mobile hotspots, like Verizon has something called Verizon Visual. And it's a hotspot is a mobile, it's a portable device that provides Wi-Fi access to the internet for people who don't have Wi-Fi in their homes. It's expensive and a lot of people can't afford it. So we are actually lending out these hotspots, mobile devices that provide Wi-Fi access to the internet. Any person 18 years or over may borrow one. You can reserve one for up to a month in advance. You could take it out for a week at a time. And you can use up to 10 devices on that mobile hotspot for a week. All right. I also wanted to talk just a little bit about some of the other things that are at the library that you may not know about. We have the New York Times bestseller list posted every week prominently. We have the large print books, which are toward the front of the library. They're very easy to find. We also have a lot of new books, bestsellers, also toward the front of the library, fiction and nonfiction, things that have just come out very recently, 2021, for example, 2022. So the point is that libraries are going more and more toward information and electronic resources, and there will come the day when the books won't be there anymore because you can get them digitally. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I would ask that anybody here with us tonight, sir, if you would approach the mic and state your name.
Evening, everyone. Scott Seaman from the Brewster Board of Ed. Nice to see
Thanks,
you all. I just want to give some updates on what's going on in the school. The National Junior ROTC program, which we're the only member in Putnam County and very few without the area. They're having their annual inspection tomorrow, where their cadets come in their uniforms and they process through a lot of many informational package, and they actually deal with a naval commander who comes in and grades them on their participation. The high school itself is working on Footloose, which I believe will be the third weekend of March. And we have a board meeting coming up this Tuesday, so if anybody is interested, people can come, or they can also watch us online. At the end of the month, we are announcing there's a public forum, all interested people about any topic. You just have to register through the school, and then you'll be able to come either, like I said, in person or online. And this is the advocacy weeks for the school as well. And we also did raise the questions in regards to the electronic vehicles to see if there's a lot of, let's say, legs behind it. And there is a lot of legs behind it. I mean, they had so much information on it, and we all raised the same concerns. Not having any of them, we didn't really know what was going on. White Plains, a very large school district, has 5. And they have great concerns with the 5 vehicles they have. I think their limitation, they generally go out like a 66-mile range is what they consider. And they also considering the costs and such. But they want to point out, there's 9 companies that do this, and we're going to expand this, and we're going to have money for that. But none of the people know how to maintain these vehicles, how to use them, how to drive them. The infrastructure alone could be very costly and time consuming. But we raise the same questions as you would as well. And we'd like to thank you all for the work you do on our behalf. If you have any questions, please let us know. And if there's anything we can do, please feel free. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you. Anyone else here? All right, at this point, I turn the public recognition over to anybody joining us by Zoom. If you're with us by Zoom, if you would unmute and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Suzanne Riella. I reside at 74 Warren Drive in Patterson in the Putnam Lake area. Thank you for the opportunity to address the board. I am unsure whether you have experienced this, but NYSEG recently raised their supply charge rates, purportedly in conjunction with market fluctuations and whatnot. Does the town have any information on what energy supplier NYSEG uses? Does the town have any influence or voice concerning the service received from NYSEG? Do residents have any say in choice of supplier aside from the ESCOs referenced on NYSEG's website? And finally, is there any recourse for individuals to have their complaints logged? Thank you for your time and attention to this matter.
Well, thank you for bringing that up at this time. I will tell you that I think the board and myself have been aware that there's going to be a rate increase. There are going to be a number of rate increases. They're affecting all of us. They have to do with NYSEG. NYSEG went to the Public Service Commission. It was a result, I think, of a lot of us in this community and surrounding communities complaining about the condition of the infrastructure, the number of outages we were having. And they came up with a plan to harden their infrastructure to make it more resilient. They are putting in a number of closures, which are going to help minimize the amount of time, and they are going to put in automated systems and a smart system. And that's not going to hit Patterson, I think, for 2 more years. But all that came with a cost, which of course PSC has allowed NYSEG to pass on to the consumers. So yes, I am aware. I think the board's aware. We don't have a lot of influence over those. Certainly we can put comments in when they're proposing rate increases, and certainly we have been very vocal about NYSEG and their response during outages and storm events. I will say NYSEG has gotten tremendously better in their response, but they do still have some distance to go. And the entity that regulates the NYSEG rate increases is the Public Service Commission. If you need further contact to the Public Service Commission, if you want to call my office, we can give you that information.
Thank you so much. I can certainly find that information on the internet. I was just really appalled at the rate increase. I did a deep dive into the statistics, and it hasn't been this bad apparently since about May of 2014. So I was really just appalled by it. But thank you so much for the information.
You're welcome. Is there anyone else joining us by Zoom that wishes to address the board? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.